My name is Emily Dawson. I'm 24 years old, and I grew up in a peaceful town outside Nashville, Tennessee. People often say a mother's love is the first gift every child receives. I wanted to believe that was true. But my childhood told a very different story. One of my earliest memories takes me back to my first day of elementary school. I wore a yellow dress with tiny daisies and new white shoes that I had cleaned 3 times before leaving home. More than anything, I wanted a picture with my mom before the school bus arrived. She glanced at me for only a second. "Stand over there," she said, pointing toward the front yard. She took a photo of only me. "Can we take one together?" I asked with a hopeful smile. She grabbed her purse. "I'm already running late." Then she drove away. I watched other children laughing with their parents while I stood alone holding my backpack. At 6 years old, I couldn't explain the empty feeling inside my chest, but I knew something wasn't the same as everyone else's life. As I grew older, that feeling never disappeared. My mother, Karen Dawson, worked as a successful marketing manager. She cared about perfect clothes, a spotless home, and what neighbors thought about our family. Everything around her had to look perfect. Except me. Every morning seemed to begin with another criticism. "Fix your hair. That shirt doesn't look good. You talk too much." No matter how hard I tried, she always found another reason to be disappointed. One Saturday evening she invited several coworkers to our house for dinner. "I can help set the table," I offered. She looked at me without smiling. "No. Stay upstairs until everyone leaves." "Why?" "I don't want you making things awkward." Her words stung more than I wanted to admit. From my bedroom I could hear laughter, music, and dinner plates downstairs while I ate a simple sandwich alone. That night I cried quietly into my pillow, hoping she wouldn't hear me. School became the only place where I felt valuable. I loved books and writing. Every good grade felt like another chance to earn my mother's approval. One afternoon, I rushed into the kitchen holding a math test with a bright A across the top. "Mom, I got the highest score in my class." She barely lifted her eyes from her phone. "That's what you're supposed to do." Then she walked away. I slowly folded the paper and carried it back to my room, wondering why nothing I achieved ever seemed important enough. The one person who always made me feel loved was my grandmother, Rose Dawson. Every visit started the same way. "My beautiful girl," she would say before pulling me into the warmest hug. At her house I laughed more than anywhere else. One afternoon I finally asked the question that had lived inside me for years. "Grandma, why doesn't Mom love me?" Her smile faded. She gently held my hands. "Oh, sweetheart, you've never done anything wrong. Then why am I never enough?" Tears filled her eyes. Sometimes adults carry pain they don't know how to let go of. Her answer comforted me for a little while, but it never filled the empty space inside my heart. When I turned 16, my high school announced Parent Appreciation Night. Every student could invite one parent onto the stage to receive a flower. For the first time in years, I believed my mother might finally come. I carefully placed the invitation on the kitchen counter. That evening she read it, sighed, and shook her head. "I'm not going. Please, it's only 1 hour. I have better things to do. Everyone else's parents will be there." She looked annoyed. Emily, stop making everything about yourself. The words stayed with me long after she left the room. On the night of the ceremony, the gym was filled with smiling families taking pictures together. I kept looking toward the entrance. Maybe she was just running late. She never came. When my teacher noticed me standing alone, she quietly asked, "Is your mom on her way?" I forced a smile. "I don't think so." A few minutes later, my name echoed through the speakers. I walked onto the stage alone, holding a flower that suddenly felt much heavier than it should have. I smiled for everyone watching. Inside, my heart was breaking. A week later, I visited Grandma Rose again. This time, she looked ready to tell me the truth. "When your mother was 19, she said softly, she fell deeply in love with your father. They planned to get married, but 3 months before you were born, he died in a car accident." I sat in silence. "She lost the man she loved and the future she dreamed about," Grandma continued. "Instead of healing, she connected all that pain to the day you were born. It was unfair, but grief changed her. So, none of this was my fault?" I whispered. "Never," Grandma replied, holding my hand. That evening, I faced my mother. "I know what happened to Dad." She looked shocked before lowering her eyes. "I blamed you," she admitted. "Every time I saw you, I remembered everything I had lost. I know how cruel that was. I only wanted my mom," I said, fighting back tears. For the first time, she cried with me. A few months later, I received a full scholarship to a university in Chicago. Grandma hugged me proudly. "I always believed in you." When I told my mother, she quietly said, "I'm happy for you." They were simple words, but they meant more than I expected. College gave me a fresh start. I studied hard, graduated, and built a career as a writer. For the first time, I felt confident without needing anyone's approval. 2 years later, Grandma called to tell me my mother had been hospitalized. I went home. She looked weaker than I remembered. When she saw me, tears filled her eyes. "I've spent years regretting the childhood I stole from you," she whispered. "I'm sorry." She handed me a small box filled with my school photos, drawings, and birthday cards. "I kept every memory because I always loved you. I just didn't know how to show it. I couldn't erase the past, but I didn't want to carry its weight forever." I stepped forward and hugged her. It was the first real hug we had ever shared. A year later, she attended the launch of my first book. With tears in her eyes, she smiled proudly and told everyone, "This is my daughter." Those 3 words healed a part of my heart that had been waiting since childhood. I learned that another person's pain should never decide your value. Love may arrive late, and forgiveness may take years, but healing begins the moment you realize you were always enough.